All right, welcome in Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. It is episode 60, the Chuck Bednarik episode. It is January 12th, 2023. We've got the college football season to wrap up. Did not go well for our Bison, but brighter days are ahead. TCU was lobotomized by Georgia. Let's see here. I got 6 rounds of golfing in 4 days. We got the NFL playoffs coming up. And Aaron Rodgers might not be a Packer anymore, so we'll see. Yes, Ethan. Not too bad. Most of my job is picking up.
Not too bad.
I don't know, like, my hands are like perma-calloused as it is because of my job where I'm picking up cases all day. So, yeah. Whoa.
You need to go to a doctor.
But, yeah.
Did the Arizona sun beat you, or January isn't that bad?
It's not terrible. In the morning, it is fairly chilly. I didn't wear sweats or pants at all, but we had a couple of early tea times where we got out like at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was brisk. I would say it was like the perfect running weather. Like it was like the sun was up. It was like 50. Like you could go out running like shorts and a long sleeve t-shirt would have been perfect.
So then, did you in the afternoon train for your half marathon in the Arizona winter?
I did not, because we were golfing. Like I said, Saturday we did 18. We teed off, Saturday we teed off in the morning, and then we actually had my cousin was getting married, so we went to the wedding. It just happened to work out where he was getting married, and we were there, so we figured why not go to it. So we went to the wedding, and then Sunday we golfed right away in the morning because we wanted to get back and watch the Bison game, but there wasn't a whole lot to watch. And then Monday we teed off a little bit later. We teed off at like 10:30ish, and we got done. Sun was out. It was 70, 75 degrees out. Beautiful day, no wind at all. So we went into the clubhouse, wanted to see if we could do another 18, and they said, "Yeah, go ahead." They gave us a good rate, and that's what we did. We went and played another 18, and then Tuesday it was the same thing. We started at like 8, and that was the one day we planned for sure to do 36, and we got all 36 done. It was started at, I think we teed off at like 8:30 and got done at about quarter to 5, 8 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and then the rest of the came home, ate, and just kind of packed up, and because we had to leave early in the morning. And
Did
we
you climb Camelback like every other tourist that goes to Arizona?
no, we're not hikers. We try to be somewhat of golfers, even though it's questionable sometimes about that even.
Tony, Camelback is a real bitch.
I've heard it. So we could see Cliff Kingsbury's house from there, I hear. Probably for not much longer.
I was going to say, speaking of Camelback, there's a home in the open market down there where you can see it. From his living
unlike
room.
I'm unable to barely see you guys at all.
How you can, from his room with the fireplace inside where he took that draft photo, you can see Camelback from that room. So maybe if we put all our money together, maybe not this lifetime, but next lifetime, we might be able to buy that house.
Who knows? Maybe the housing market's going to take a crash. And I made it back even with the every single flight being grounded in this morning. So,
Not bad.
yeah, it worked out. But did you guys do anything over the weekend?
We tried to watch football on Monday night. That didn't go very well.
No.
That was just a bad day. Otherwise, no, nothing too eventful for myself. I worked, and I don't even think I did anything eventful at all. That's why I can't remember anything. So, yeah, no.
I mean, it was just another classic Grant weekend. What does he do? He works. He lifts crazy weight, eats a lot of food, watches football, finished season 2 of Yellowstone. I finally drank the juice, like you guys, and it's probably the best decision I've ever made.
Is that why you're? Is that why you're really trying to get the beard growing more, and you got a cowboy hat on? You think you're ripped now, or when are the boots? Are the cowboy boots ordered, or
the boots are not ordered? Since I'm only on season 2, I'm not far along yet where the boots are ordered. But with the beard, you know me. That's about 4 or 5 weeks, and I trim it down, and it just happened to be the perfect timing where it's coming back now. And at work, we had a little shindig going on this weekend where they gave us cowboy hats. And, 100% of the people said, hey, Grant, that's a decent look on you right now. And I'm kind of thinking, I think I can kind of pull this off too. So then I'm telling myself, you know what, to surprise Dylan a little bit before we get on this call tonight, I'm going to put the cowboy hat on and see where it goes. And now we're here. So like I said, I think it's a nice look. And who knows, I might wear it more often.
There you go. And you're gonna get some pearl snap shirts. You're gonna have a belt buckle. I mean, we have like 2 different alter egos for you already, and we're only 2 episodes into this year. We've got Tap Out MMA Grant, and then we've got Cowboy Grant.
You got to find yourself someone who can do multiple things, like position versatility. And I'm doing that right now with my personalities and the clothes I can wear. This is going to be good.
Yep. Your versatility. That's what makes you likable.
The Fox Racing T-shirt with the backwards monster hat, just kind of your all around bad person. But who knows? That might get there.
And punching walls every time the Chiefs defense gives up a touchdown,
which could be a fair amount. We'll see next week. Who knows? I mean, you go to Florida once or 2 more times this year, and then you really might start to adapt to the culture, and then bad things will happen. This might be the 2 guys talking ball podcast. If you know what I'm saying, I might be put away.
Yeah, we might have to go visit Grant. Ethan might be doing his visitations every week, visiting Grant, so we can record it.
That video I saw on Instagram this weekend, there was some guy came. It was a joke. He goes, "People in Florida." He walked out his front door. Some guy slow dancing with the gator in floodwaters. That guy dancing with the gator suit is going to be me.
Did you know who else is probably punching walls right now?
Sonny Dykes?
No. Well, he probably is too. Mets fans.
Mets fans are.
Yeah, Mets fans.
We only spent $600 million this offseason, not $800.
Yeah, what a bunch of cowards.
Yeah, and Carlos Correa is back, as Ethan called all along. We'll give it up. We'll give it up for Ethan.
Shout out to Ethan for figuring that out.
Especially for the last 3 days, I straight up texted them, what was it, Sunday night, saying there was a shit ton of steam on Twitter, of all places, saying Correa's going to be back, and here we are, Carlos Correa, introduced as the twin, and honestly, it might be the first of his career.
Well, speaking of Ethan,
so there's no like opt out clause after
trade clause? It can be upwards of 10 years.
So he's all in.
So he's going to be there for sure for the next 6, right? I think that's what I saw was it was like 6 year, $200 million.
Yes, and he even said his son is going to be great growing up as Minnesota Knights today.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So he's
all right.
He's all in. He's all in.
Did you guys ever figure out what that special announcement was that they were tweeting out?
No idea, but they're about to trade for Pablo Lopez from the Marlins, so that's the next move.
All right.
But yeah, I have no. They did come out with like their for C4, Correa 4, whatever. They came out with $4 tickets. Whether that was the big announcement, I have no idea.
Or was the big announcement they were talking about just his press conference?
I don't think so. There's no way.
I don't know. Because
I don't know. It almost felt like the Jay Glazer back in 2020 when he said he has like a big announcement to make on whatever their Fox show was. Like it was like a free agency special, and he was going to make some big announcement. And all it was some guy tested positive for COVID.
Oh, that seems about right.
Yeah.
That seems fair, but no, I haven't heard anything. So
no.
I don't know. Just Correa's back in Minnesota, for 6 years.
I will say he looks, in his Instagram post, looks so good in the New Jersey that just says
yeah.
Oh my God. Those jerseys are just something else.
Twins hit a home run with those jerseys.
They did fantastic. It just sucks he wasn't able to showcase my Mall of America with the rest of the team. But you know what? He's here. He said he was texting with Buxton every single day throughout the process. But he's home.
Hey, better late than never.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Well, he'll be Twins Fest is coming up, isn't it? So I bet you he'll be at Twins Fest, sporting the new unis.
Well, one would think.
He has photos already of all of them everywhere.
Okay. But yeah, what did you guys think of the Georgia-TCU game? Was there like we said, I think we said that there was really no outcome that didn't surprise us other than TCU winning by 40. And it played out like we said it was going to be, where Georgia didn't play a great game. TCU played a perfect game in the semifinal. Georgia came out, and it's probably putting it nicely as a steamroll.
I just wish TCU would have played better because I think we all know they are better than what they actually showed that night. But at the same time, I think Georgia wanted to prove something after they gave up so many yards, so many points to Ohio State. They came out saying, we're going to fuck these guys. And my God, did they ever. I don't think there will ever be another championship game that lopsided. But, Georgia's the real deal. They showed it. And honestly, they might do the same damn thing next year.
Yeah. It just seems like they just refuel.
They retool.
Retool. I'm still on vacation mode. It's, brain's not.
I was going to say
it usually operates at about a 30% clip. Right now, it's probably closer to about a 6 to 7.
Giving yourself less credit than I was going to give you. I was going to say you at least function at 50%, but you said 30%, so we're rolling with that.
Yeah, well, Grant, as the humblest person I just have to live up to that. Those are your words, not mine.
I never said you were humble. I said you were better than me.
No. There are text messages that say, I am the humblest guy you know.
All right, well,
that's from you.
I don't remember saying that, and I very well may have. So
I don't forget compliments like that. That's
what a shame that is that I made that mistake, because that's something you're never going to forget.
Well, it's the truth, though.
But no. Like we said, there's one team in this country this year when they turn it on, and no one's going to touch them, and that was the Georgia Bulldogs on Monday night.
Yeah, and realistically, that game probably should have been a shutout, because the pass interference that they called on Georgia that TCU was able to get their first touchdown on, that was just guys losing their footing and slipping, and the ref maybe realizing that this game's going to be ugly, so we might as well just give TCU a touchdown. And it probably should have been 60, well, technically, I guess you could say 66-0 because they missed the PAT.
But no, I think Georgia proved on Monday night that there was no team in this country that could play with them when they were all in, when they were locked and loaded. Then you could just tell it was going to be ugly at halftime when Kirby goes, you know what? The third quarter's been our worst quarter of the year this year. TCU's been great. We got to go pedal to the metal. And I'm thinking, there's no way they can. He's going to call the dogs off, no pun intended there. And they're just, they're going to win this game 52, 48-7. But they took Stetson Bennett out. It was 52-7. They scored 2 more touchdowns with their twos in. They were just on an absolute roll, and they were on a mission. And, Dylan, it reminds me of the conversation we had maybe 7 years ago now when Georgia was struggling with Mark Richt. Before they fired him, we said, there's no excuse for this team not to be the best team in this country. With the amount of talent that's in that state, you have Florida nearby, Alabama, and Louisiana. If you get the right coach in there and they coach them up with the players that they have at their resources, they're going to absolutely destroy people, and Alabama doesn't stand a chance. Well, fast forward 7 years, and, we were right. It's just, you look at their roster, I saw the next day that 77 players from Georgia, I think another 17 from Florida, 1 from Pennsylvania, 3 from Louisiana, a couple from Alabama. They have anything and everything at their hands, and then they can just put the most ridiculous team in America together.
Did you guys hear Kirby Smart's pregame speech to the team?
Yeah, a lot of F-bombs.
Yeah. Well, a lot of F-bombs. It definitely explained why they played the way they played. And sometimes, maybe it wasn't. It was okay. Michigan wasn't playing in that game, and TCU was.
Well, Michigan didn't need to get blown out by this team 2 years in a row.
True, exactly. It's all gonna work itself out when Michigan's the one that takes them down next year.
But that is not happening.
That's what you think.
No, that's what I know.
Shoot, that's right. That's right. Jim Harbaugh paid for some couple of cheeseburgers, and if as the model of consistency and holding people accountable, I have to say, there's no other rule or logical thing to say other than you have to give Michigan the death penalty because it starts with cheeseburgers, and then it's a steak dinner, and then a steak dinner turns into dinner and a movie, and then a dinner and a movie turns into a new car, and then a new house for your parents. You got to draw the line at some point. So you know what? Michigan's going to be getting the death penalty. I'm going to have to get a new team to cheer for.
Are these new NCAA violations coming from Michigan, or is this the story of how your future relationship's going to go?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, just yes. Okay.
I want to go back real quick to the pregame speech. I have heard better, actually, including my high school basketball coach for yelling at my teammate at halftime for letting a kid with a fake leg burn by him for a layup. That was better than what Kirby Smart did.
Okay, there you go.
This is random here, but was there any unreported murders or people on the loose Monday night in Los Angeles?
No, just a lot of grown men barking.
Well, no, I'm wondering because if I haven't heard the speech yet, but if it's as good as you guys are making it out to be, you got to wonder if some of these Georgia fans heard that on the internet and went out and just randomly knifed a guy in Los Angeles.
I honestly didn't think it was that great of a speech, to be completely honest.
It was what a football coach would say. It's one of those things that's like
you just go fuck the other team. To me, that's not like a message. It's just you screaming swear words at a team. I didn't think it had much of a meaning.
It's great when it works.
I mean, it did.
Until you say that next year if you play Alabama in the SEC title game and then they hit you in the face. And then at halftime, it's like, all right, coach, what are your words now? Because you tried to get us fired up before and we're getting our ass kicked.
It didn't seem like a KOC speech you hear after the game, motivational. Anything like that. It was just him screaming swear words and saying they're going to go beat the living bleep out of this team. It really wasn't like a leadership speech.
But that's what makes Georgia. They just go out and beat the hell out of people.
Yeah. So teach their own. But I honestly didn't think it was that great of a speech.
Yeah. Trying to see if I can find the actual transcript of it and maybe read it to you guys, but I'm struggling trying to find it. We can play it after we're done recording, but go down to the FCS and discuss the beatdown that the Jackrabbits put on NDSU, 45-21. Call a spade a spade. That's what it was. NDSU was going to have to play a near perfect game. They did not play a near perfect game.
Rushing yards did South Dakota State have?
I'm pretty sure Isaiah Davis and Amar Johnson are still running.
Fair.
And this is just not fun to say. I just don't like saying nice things about South Dakota State, but they were the better team. They played like it, and they showed why they were the best team all year. They ran for 283 yards, 7 yards a carry.
How much
NDSU could not get off the field on third down. A lot of times where they had some third and medium, third and long situations where it felt favorable, they couldn't. Cam Miller, I didn't think played terrible, but South Dakota State controlled the game. They held the ball for most of the first half, and when NDSU did have the ball, they weren't able to move it. They
That
struggled.
Draw scramble thing where they threw it to the fullback was like incredible play. For the touchdown, the long one.
The first for NDSU or for South Dakota State?
South Dakota State.
Oh yeah.
And that was counter.
That seems like they've ran that play for like the last like 3 or 4 times they've played NDSU in a different version, like in 21 in Brookings, where they just snapped it directly to guy he's playing for the Pierre Strong, where they basically snapped it underneath the quarterback's legs, like what Texas Tech did in the bowl game against Ole Miss, and he like took a step forward and then threw it up right over the top for a touchdown. But yeah, in South Dakota State, outside of Tucker Kraft, they're really not losing anybody. The Yankee twins are back. Gronowski's still got 3 years of eligibility left. Isaiah Davis and their other running back.
Right?
What's that?
Isaiah Davis, he's a sophomore, right?
Junior.
He's
a junior. He'll be a senior next year.
Got it.
The Yankee twins have a 6th year of COVID eligibility. And I think I saw something that said their offensive line is coming back. Like all 5 starters. And NDSU,
I think Davis could totally go Power 5 if he wanted to. The dude's a
so could you I mean, I guarantee you there's teams looking at him. I guarantee you there's FGS programs looking at Gronowski.
Yeah.
And there's also rumors floating around that Stiegelmeier might retire. So who knows there? But yeah, as of now, as on paper, as everything holds, SDSU will be the unanimous number 1 going in next year.
Yeah.
NDSU, they've got to get better. The biggest difference that they've lacked these last few years is their D tackles have not been what they were. This year they were young. They showed improvement throughout the year, but South Dakota State, who has very 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes even 6-year guys on the offensive line, that's men playing amongst boys. There's nothing you can do. NDSU doesn't have a Nate Tangway, a Brian Schatz, a Le'Veon Perry walking through the doors. So
I'm still terrified of Schatzy, to be completely honest, after being in the locker room.
Oh, big dude. Yes.
Yeah.
Dairy farmer from Wisconsin. Yeah,
you literally like slammed his head in the wall saying, "Get me the fuck out of here, I want to murder these motherfuckers." Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sounds like him and Kirby Smart would get along.
Let me out of this fucking cage, I think is when he yelled one game. Yeah, he was a different
Sounds like him and Kirby Smart are good friends.
Yeah, he was just freaking nuts.
But sky is not falling in Fargo. There's still a lot of reasons for optimism. One thing is I think another thing too is I would not be surprised if there's going to be some type of quarterback competition between Cam Miller and Cole Payton this spring and carries into the fall. I think Cole Payton, who came to NDSU as a big-time recruit, I think there's time they want to see it. Cam Miller, as great as he's been in his time, it's been up and down, but he won a national title. He made it to a national title this year. He wasn't supposed to even be a starter when he was recruited here. He was kind of just going to be a filler, a backup role, similar to like what a Cole Davis was for NDSU. And Quincy Patterson didn't work out, so he got flushed into the role, and he played as well as you can. I think you've almost maximized the talent that he has, and I think you have to at least see what you have in Cole Payton.
Didn't they lose their DC too, just to Northwestern?
Yeah, he's going to Northwestern. Dwayne Brown, I think, is his name.
Is he going?
I think he's DC.
DC.
He's going to be the D coordinator at Northwestern.
The guy for like the last 20 years retired.
Yeah, he retired. But they also Northwestern just had hazing allegations tonight, so that their university's looking at.
By the football team or just the school?
Football team.
Oh, sick.
Oh, shocking. A rich frat boy school accused of hazing. Never heard that one before.
That's totally new information to me.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they take the baseball bats away. If you know what I'm saying, boys.
Yeah, but
Something's moving the building.
No,
you guys got any? You Carlos and Tristan, you guys have anything more on the NDSU game?
Well, I think you're right, Dylan. I think there needs to be some sort of QB competition because, I understand, like you said, Cam Miller has played in 2 national titles and he is the national champion. How much of that, though, is a product of the environment around him? I mean, you can't have many more 1-12 semifinal games in this team that expected to play for a national championship. And like you said, throughout the whole regular season, he needs to pick it up. His receivers need to help him out like that.
And I will say that, too, is Zach Mathis coming back. He has impressed me. He will go in next year to next year as the clear number 1 go-to guy. That was something that we've been hammering on all year is who's going to step up and be that guy. And Zach Mathis has emerged as the guy. We'll see if there's some other ones that can take that next step. Eli Green had a touchdown in the championship game. And the other part, too, is NDSU has to get healthy. Like, NDSU, they were out, It probably doesn't make a difference the way South Dakota State played, but Hunter Lipke out, Noah Gindorf out. Those are 2 guys that are going to be playing in the NFL next year. Those are some big losses. They were missing a couple of guys on the O-line. The defense was beat up, and there's some things that need to be worked out. The tackling improved from the South Dakota State game, but it was still in the championship. It looked like they haven't practiced tackling. The linebackers, there's need to be some improvement there as well. And then they got to replace 2 safeties on the back end.
Well, Dylan, you beat me to it. I was going to go wide receivers. I mean, when we were there, they always had that one guy that got open, whether it was Darius Shepard or R.J. Urzadowski, I think is how you say it.
Zach Vraw.
Zach Vraw. They were always open or they always made that play. They didn't have that this year. So, I didn't watch enough to know, who they have coming in. But even, Christian Watson last year, they always had one of those guys that seemed to be the dude. They need that guy moving forward. Like you said, that Eli, is that his name that you said? Or?
Yep. Eli Green.
Yeah.
Raja Nelson will be back. Braylon Henderson. And they've got a couple of guys.
They're getting PT at all or no?
P sparingly. There's a couple of freshmen that redshirted this year. Guy from Mankato West, Grant's alma mater.
Hey.
I have the thing here actually. It was.
I know he's a big, tall kid.
Yeah, he was 6'4". Makai Collins.
Yep.
Oh, that's
from
he was
from
North
Mankato, Minnesota, and then Carson Hagerly, who played for West Fargo last year too. I wouldn't be shocked to see them. They're bigger. They're bigger receivers. Makai's 6'4". I think Carson's 6'3". Bryce Lance is also 6'4". I think that's one where you have to see. And NDSU, they've on paper, recruiting wise, it looks like they've recruited guys well, but for some reason they haven't been able to develop them and bring them along. We thought Phoenix Sproles was going to be the clear-cut number 1 this year. He didn't work out. He's not playing here anymore either. So that I think that's one thing that you need to see is guys that can consistently get open.
Pretty sure Makai Collins had an Iowa State offer at one point, but they also
He did.
seem to offer everyone in Minnesota that's a borderline Power 5 player. So that's also not surprising.
Iowa State as a program, they offer 450
Yeah,
scholarships a year. Anyone within Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, you're getting an offer from Iowa State.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but also, I think maybe is now also if you just look at the timeline for when Coach Kleiman left. Now this was his 4th year at Kansas State.
Yep.
So then for turn it's the 4th year of this new regime who took over for Coach Kleiman, and sometimes it's a challenge to not only recruit players but also to develop players with that. And now that his players are out, it's this new coaching staff. It's their players are in it. Sometimes you're going to have hits. Sometimes you're going to have misses. So maybe they can just learn from these on the recruiting trail to continue to get good teams and bring good players in. And it's no shot at them, but you know what? I mean, those first couple of years when they were rolling people and they were great teams, those are, Coach Clem's recruiting classes, and now these last couple, it's a new regime, and maybe they just need to learn and change things up a bit. Who knows? Maybe change up your off-season strength conditioning program. Players are getting hurt all the time. Maybe change up the medical staff. Going to national championships not a bad thing. Hang your head on that each year, but there's always learning opportunities, and right now this is a time to maybe change it up. Your off-season, like I said, strength conditioning, training staff, the way you recruit players. It's a good time to kind of self-evaluate and try to get back in it and win a chip next year.
Yeah, well, and perspective also matters too, is because NDSU's has won 9 national championships in 12 years. Most teams are lucky to get one. Like, for example, Montana State last year, they played for the national title. They forgot to show up, forgot that they were playing in it. But before that, the last time they were playing in a national title was 1984, which it was almost 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. So these Bison fans, they can't take the winning and the success and the tradition that they have for granted, which feels like they're doing, but because it is extremely hard to do. For one, it's hard to win one in general, and then to maintain that success and keep guys in the program and keep them focused and hungry. That's a whole different story, because you're dealing with college kids where one day they're a great day, the next day their girlfriend could dump them and they're just in a bad spot. You never know what you're going to get with kids that age. And to win 9 national titles in a 12-year span, enjoy it. Because there's nobody, yes, the fans want to win, everybody wants to win, but there's nobody who wants to win more than those kids in the locker room putting in the work.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, you take that same thing to the FBS level. People are like, Alabama's this season was a failure. So 11-2, beating the hell out of the Big 12 champs in your bowl game and losing 2 games on the final play by like a combined 4 points. That's a bad year. Oh darn! I wish that was a bad year. Shoot. And then just to show how dominant Alabama was, people the other day they're trying to talk on social media. Oh, is Georgia's potential dynasty going to be what Alabama's, or close to what Clemson is? Well, first off, Clemson was never a dynasty. You need to win 3 to win a dynasty. And if Georgia wants to go where Alabama is, they're only a third of the way there. Saban's won 6 there. Kirby's still got to win 4 more. That just shows how impressive, that streak was. So it's like, to your point exactly. If people are winning, let them enjoy the winning, because it's a hard thing to do. Even in the NFL. Kansas City winning 7 straight division titles, New England winning 10 or 11 in a row. That doesn't happen. That's just it's a hard thing to do.
Well, I mean, Georgia, this is the first time a team's won back-to-back national titles since Alabama did it 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to do. I mean, how many times have you gone and watched teams where they win a national title and then the next year they still win games because the talent is there, but they don't look good. They limp in. A couple that come to bell is the 2014 Florida State team, undefeated, win every game, but they looked awful, and they somehow were able to beat every team they played until they played Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And then the next year, Ohio State, where they got hot at the end, and then they limped in. They let their guard down against Michigan State against the backup quarterback and lost. And they were talented enough to win a national title that year. I mean, you go back, look at that roster. They probably had 17 guys when it was all said and done that were contributing, that was drafted or played in the NFL at some point.
Then that Ohio State team, the way they played those last 2 games against Michigan and Notre Dame, that team would have won the national title.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the team that everyone thought was coming in August. When Braxton Miller hit the spin move against Virginia Tech in the second half there, that was disgusting. But that was the team everyone thought they were going to get all year. And Urban Meyer even said that year was the hardest year he's ever had coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, holy she's come back.
Mm-hmm. So, and then even the Clemson Tigers, the year they lost to LSU in the national championship. They were playing with their food
Yeah.
in that
That's
regular
another one,
season
too.
a lot in 2019, and then they got focused. And frankly, they got lucky. They lost to Ohio State. They beat Ohio State that day, but hey, that's in the past. They couldn't finish it out against LSU. But yeah, to your point, exactly. That's another team where they were limping along, and they weren't on their A game because you're now the hunted, you're not the hunters.
Yep. But NDSU season comes to a close, and let's roll up to the NFL. And let's just start. Let's go down the docket, starting with the Saturday games. First game on the Saturday is Seahawks at 49ers, 2:30 Mountain on Fox. Niners are 9.5-point favorites. Over-unders 42.5. This game, I think if you're betting the total, I think you bet the under. I think this is going to be a very much a ball control, field position game. Pete Carroll has had some success against the Niners in the past. Geno's had a really good year. I think everybody on the podcast, you guys both had, and myself, I know I had Seattle finishing last in the NFC West, but Geno's had a good year. They've found a really nice running back. They've got good receivers in Lockett and Metcalf. Big thing, too, that I think is going to come for that's if Seattle's going to want to have a shot and stick around this game is if they're going to be able to keep Geno upright against this nasty pass rush for the Niners.
I just don't see Seattle winning. I mean, yeah, they've had a decent year. Geno's obviously had a hell of a year, setting the all-time passing record for Seattle right the year after Russell leaves.
17th game.
So it's fine. It's fine. You know what? Russell sucks. So I was going to say it.
That he does.
But I just don't see them going into San Francisco beating them, even with a rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy, trying to or Iowa State. But, I think 49ers roll them.
If there's one game this weekend that could get ugly, and there probably will be one. We can't have a divisional weekend like we had last year every single weekend. If there's a game that could get ugly, this is one of the two that I'd pick. And I get, Pete Carroll, he's had success, in the past, but, this isn't that same Seahawks team. And even what he said yesterday, he said, hey, I'm glad we're in the playoffs, but unfortunately we have to play the Niners. The hottest team in football. But if the Seahawks want to win, they're going to have to do something that teams have not done since Brock Purdy has taken over. They're going to have to turn the Niners over probably two, if not three times to win this game, just because, like Ethan said, the Niners, they're the hottest team in football right now. And, that defense is absolutely flying around. And I just don't see these long, methodical drives that Seattle's going on working against the Niners. You're going to have to take some deep shots. You're going to have to get aggressive with it because this Niners offense is absolutely humming on offense, and they're going on all cylinders. Ever since, McCaffrey's been in that second game after they played Kansas City, they're just absolutely rolling right now. So, like NDSU last week, Seattle's going to have to play a perfect game and probably, in my eyes, at least have 3 turnovers. And that also includes missed field goals and maybe fourth downs. With the Niners don't get it with that.
I think we'll have a good idea within San Francisco's first offensive possession. If Seattle can get through that first 15-play script without giving up a touchdown, minimum forcing them on a field goal, I think we'll have a good idea of how this game will play out. I think Seattle's obviously going to try and run the ball. They're going to try to keep it out of that San Francisco offense hands that it is rolling. But yeah, I think the Niners win. That 9.5, I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle covers. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think the Niners are playing too well. I think they roll to a win.
Mm-hmm.
And this also feels like a game too that if the Niners can, I wouldn't be shocked if they try to do what they did with Jimmy Garoppolo in the 19 season where he only has to throw the ball 10 times. and not put the pressure on him. And if the game plays out where they're able to play it on their terms, that's what'll happen.
Oh, for sure. But also I think this Niners offense, they have a lot more better skilled players than that 19 offense. That they still had George Kittle, but now you also have McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, and just all the horses at their dispense. So, but again, if Brock Purdy throws the ball more than 25 times, that's a problem for San Francisco because that means Seattle's in this game. But again, like I said, I think if there's one game that could get ugly this weekend, it is this game right
here. Yep. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how we'll see how this playoff game shakes out, and then let's go down to the second game of the day. And I think this, on paper, this looks like it could be the best playoff game of the weekend. Chargers at Jaguars. Chargers 2-point road favorites. 6:15 Mountain Time on NBC. Totals 47.5. First playoff game, first playoff matchup of what could be plenty of these two between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. And it sounds like Mike Williams is going to play. Chargers have to take advantage of a bad Jags offensive line. And in the end, I think this game is going to come down to coaching. And I don't trust Brandon Staley still. So I think I like Trevor Lawrence to get his first win in the first playoff win.
I'm with you, Dylan. I think the Jags are going to win this game. And I think the reason the Jags are going to win this game is because they have Travis Etienne on the offensive end, and he's a difference maker, not only on the ground, but also in the air catching the ball. But the big thing is their front four. Their front seven on their defense. Oh my God, they are flying around and they are fast and they are just knocking people's socks off right now. And Rashawn Slater was taken off the injured reserve and designated to return, but he's not going to play this weekend. So Trayvon Walker, Arden Key, and Josh Allen get after Herbert with still a banged up Chargers offensive line. And I know Mike Williams is going to play, but he has back spasms, short week, cross country flight. I really like this Jags front seven taking after Herbert and make enough tackles in the open field because Austin Eckler also for the Chargers is their leading receiver, where they're not going to let him make a guy miss and turn a 4-yard reception into a 12-yarder. I think the Jags and Dougie P, they got something good rolling, and they looked nervous last week against the Titans, but I think that was because that was a win and get in. They were nervous. Now that they're in, this is kind of the week 2 of their playoffs. The nerves are going to settle a little bit. And, they got a Super Bowl winning coach on their side, Dougie P, and he's going to get them ready to play. And the Jags are going to advance.
I guess that makes all three of us. So looks like
the Chargers are winning the game.
Yeah, I think Travis Etienne's the difference. When he can get going on the ground, that opens everything for this offense. They've done it multiple times this year. I don't know what the record is when he gets over 100 yards, but it's got to be 6-1, 7, something like that. It's some really, really good numbers. So it opens everything else up when he runs. And the Chargers defense sucks against the run. I think they're like the 9th worst in the league against the run in terms of yards per game. So I think Etienne's going to feast, and he's going to hit 160.
Well, then another player we're not talking about is Christian Kirk. 10 months ago, people were making fun of the Jags and him for giving him $84 million over 4 years. Well, joke's on us because I think he has over 10 touchdowns.
He's like top 8 fantasy this year.
80 plus catches. I mean, he's having a career here, and he's playing great. Same with Zay Jones.
Don't forget Evan Ingram now.
And Evan Ingram.
He won people's fantasy or ruined people's fantasy. He literally killed everyone.
Talk about how to build a receiving core in the offseason. Shout out to Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson for doing that.
They have Calvin Ridley coming in next year.
Calvin Ridley coming in next year too. So shout out.
Forgot about him.
So they're young, they're hungry, and the Jags, they're confident. That's the big thing. They're hot. They're not limping in the playoffs. The Chargers, for some reason, played their starters way too late last week against the Broncos. They lost that game, short trip across the country. And, like Dylan said, Duval County, they're getting after it. TIAA Bank Stadium last week looked like when Georgia and Florida were there. Those fans, they were getting into it. They're going to be hyped up. I think the Jags are going to get their first playoff win since 2017.
Yeah. And, one thing, too, that I saw this stat today that we've said this before on the podcast, too, but, the biggest key to playoff success is running the ball and stopping the run. Here's the stat. Teams have a 75% chance of winning in the playoffs when they outrush their opponent. Last year, 5 of the 6 wildcard winners outrushed their opponents.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even on the college level, Dylan, for your game, Michigan, Ohio State, the winner of the last 22 games is outrushed their opponent.
Yep, exactly.
It's not that hard. You come this time of the year. The game, wait for it, simplifies. And your good coaches understand that, and your bad ones don't.
Yep. And do you think Staley gets fired if the Chargers lose?
No. To bring this team in with all the injuries they had and to still fight and scratch and claw and get 10 wins, I don't think they're going to, because you need to realize their owner is a cheap son of a bitch. And he's not going to want to pay him for services he's not bringing him anymore, unless they have a deal with Sean Payton ready to roll, and he's got a pen in his hand, and you can get him in there. But I don't think they're going to fire Staley.
Yeah, don't be a Texans owner and pay 3 coaches at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
just keep Staley.
I can't believe he was playing Mike Williams that late in the game.
Well, that is
with a guy that has with the injury history he has. And he is the difference maker with the Chiefs, with the Chargers offense, because they go as Mike Williams goes. That guy he flips the field.
Oh, exactly. He's probably the best 50-50 ball catcher in the NFL. I mean, how high he can hang in the coordination he has to get his feet in bounds while catching this ball also is ridiculous. And I think the Chargers this year played like 4 games when him, Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler were all on the field at the same time with their skill positions. And for him to play him that late is just ridiculous. Going into that game, knowing you're going to Jacksonville. The Ravens lost. They were playing the Bengals again. You knew you had to get on a plane and fly 3 hours across the country and have a crazy time schedule this week. You didn't know you were playing on Saturday. Maybe you knew, but that's some coaching malpractice, right? And I'm not saying they're going to fire him, but if they lose this game, you can guarantee that seat might be a little warmer, especially if he can't get a defense to play in Los Angeles when that's his calling card. Because remember, he had the number 1 defense in the NFL for the Rams in 2020 before he retired.
Yeah. Well, and they don't play like it since he's taken over as the Chargers head coach.
Well, their problem is they decided to sign a bunch of old veteran players who were hurt, and they haven't built their roster with young players through the draft. I mean, you say Derwin James. Derwin James is great, but unfortunately, that young man always is hurt. He's always missing 6 games of the year. Also,
or getting ejected.
Khalil Mack, bringing in Kyle Van Noy, he's a nice player. He's older too. They haven't had a defensive tackle in 12 years. I mean, I think Sean Green is still running in that touchdown in the divisional round against the Chargers right now. So that'll be the big thing for Staley. Now I'm looking to the offseason, but can you coach up that defense and can they get some new young players in there? Can they stay healthy for the love of God?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I suppose with that, let's go over to the Sunday games. And the Dolphins travel up to Buffalo, where the Bills are 13-point favorites, 11 a.m. Mountain on CBS. Tua is out. And we talked about the San Francisco-Seattle game, one that we think could get really ugly early. This is another one. This is the first one that I had in mind that this game will get ugly. This game will not be pretty. Unless Josh Allen, which he's been known to do this year, is, gives Miami a couple of possessions, gives them some short fields, and they can capitalize on it. But Even I don't see that happening. And I think this game is over at halftime. I just don't see any way the Dolphins make this game competitive.
Well, I think Josh Allen very well may give the Dolphins a short field, but Skylar Thompson's not taking advantage of that. Not against that defense in that stadium. It's not going to happen. And now with what the Bills have planned for, there's going to be all sorts of energy in that stadium. Tables are going to be broken. They're probably going to be broken tables on the field, and I'm all for it. Mike McDaniel might get hit in the head with one, and they might have to put their coaching protocol down there in Miami. And also, the Dolphins have lost their last, I think, 9 or 7 games when the temperature's been below 40 degrees. That's what the high on Sunday afternoon is going to be in Buffalo.
28.
33, baby. See, I think this is the game that will be the ugliest of the weekend, just because the Dolphins are so short-handed. I mean, when you're starting a 7th-round rookie, and not named Brock Purdy and Skylar Thompson, you're in for a war.
I think Buffalo has their starters sitting by the end of the third quarter. So that's how I think this game goes.
Yeah, they're at the end of the third quarter. They're getting ready for a matchup with probably Cincinnati the next week.
Yeah, and we'll get to that game in a little bit here. But let's go over to the state you two dickweeds are in, and state of Minnesota.
I'm offended.
Shut up.
Tell it to your therapist.
Soft. You're so soft.
And I don't know, man. I think if we're calling each other dickweeds, I think that's a good sign that we're getting along and we're friends. That's how I explain our friendship to people. If we're not giving each other the business and not shit talking each other, that's when you should be concerned.
I'm just happy I don't have a big flag in my room with an M on it that stands for men. That's just me.
Yeah, I might have to change that.
What, and for mediocrity?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Douche.
Just everything about me is mid.
Everything.
Well, not everything. Some things it's less than mid.
You're from North Dakota. We know how those go.
Oh, I know. I don't run from it. I'm well aware.
You embrace it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard.
You embrace the opportunity.
Yeah. But Giants at Vikings. We got a rematch of Christmas Eve. I don't think it's going to be a whiteout. Vikings 3-point favorites. 2:30 on Fox. Vikings, I think they need to offensively is have a solid run game, a nice balanced attack. Try to be about 50-50 run pass. They can't afford to get low points like they seem to be prone to throughout this year. On paper, the Vikings are the better team, better roster. They're more talented. Go out there, play like it, and don't make this game interesting. Don't make Viking fans do what they've been so familiar and have to do all year, where they've had to sweat games out, where they feel like they were ahead, and then they let them back in. Step on their necks, turn the knife, and end the Giants season. And I think another part of way to do that is they have to shut down the run game. Shut down the run game and make Daniel Jones beat you.
Well, I think that's the whole game right there. Make 8 beat you, not 26.
Yep.
Because as soon as you take away the play action game, the rollout game that the Giants have when Saquon's going, I'm sorry, but Daniel Jones in that mediocrity wide receiver room that the New York Jets call a receiver room is not going to win a playoff game.
You know how many more yards Kenny Galladay or yards or catches he needs to get his bonus?
75.
Was it 75?
Yeah, okay. Well,
the playoffs don't count towards that, so he's SOL. He is not getting his $750,000.
What's funny is the Giants traded away the wrong receiver. They could have used Kadarius Toney and got rid of Galladay.
No one wanted Galladay. No one.
Well, I know. I'm just making a joke here. I'm being facetious about it because Kadarius helping my team out, which I'm a fan of. But, like I said, Dylan, this game's simple. If the Vikings want to win, take 26 out of this game. Make Daniel Jones beat you. Because what does Daniel Jones do? He likes to throw the ball to the other team. And if you can get 2 turnovers off him, maybe get a short field, keep this crowd into it, have the Vikings offense playing with some energy. I see good things happening with that. And then also, this is going to be a big week for the Vikings offensive line. Still down a couple starters, but you're playing, Wink Martindale. He is going to bring the kitchen sink. He is going to come after Cousins. So Kirk, KOC, and the offensive line, they have to have a good plan where they're getting this ball out quick, and where not only Kirk but also his receivers know each hot route on every concept they have, because they're probably going to need to know it. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Martindale brings the pressure 50% of the time in this game, knowing that we're on the road. It's going to be a hostile environment. They're thinking we need to get a couple turnovers to change the way this game's played and get our offense a short field. So know your hot receivers, know the pressure's coming, and just don't have any mistakes to keep the Giants in this game.
Positive news for the Vikings is Bradbury was back at practice today, and Brandel, who I guess isn't your starting tackle, but played pretty damn well in the absence of Darisaw, so I think he's going to swing over to right tackle more than likely and replace O'Neal over there. So not great, but the fact that you get your center back, I feel like is a lot more important than getting a tackle. A lot easier to help a tackle on blocking than it is a center.
Well, and that goes hand in hand with the communication I was just talking about.
Yeah.
So your starting center and your quarterback know the pressure is, hey, the Giants are doing this, Kirk. You're going to do this, and then he can tell to every offensive lineman, we need to slide this way, we need to do that. So that's big if Bradbury can come back, because he's the anchor in the middle there. And again, when you're playing a Wink Martindale defense, when he's going to throw the kitchen sink at you, you need to have a confident center who knows those looks and can make the right calls.
Yeah, and I think the Vikings find a way to win again. It's always dangerous when you play a team a second time, but in the end, the Vikings have, like I said at the start when we started breaking this game down, better team, better roster, better talent. Go make the Giants question if they want to re-sign Daniel Jones, because it sounds like they're going to try to work out a contract extension with him.
He's better than Dak.
Right now, yeah, probably. Well, I don't want to talk about it yet. I'm not ready yet. We got a game left before we discuss Cowboys-Bucks, okay?
Okay.
All right. So we'll go with the nightcap of the Sunday slate. The Ravens traveled to Cincinnati, where the Bengals are 8.5-point favorites, 6:15 Mountain Time on NBC. Sounds like Lamar Jackson is not playing. And I know the Bengals have some injury questions, as well as Karras is going to be out, and I believe Kappa is probably not playing.
And Collins is out for the year too.
Yep, and Lyle Collins is out, so that is some cause for concern for a Cincinnati team that was playing their best ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think they're going to be talented enough to beat the Ravens, just because I don't think the Ravens are going to have enough firepower offensively. They don't have anybody to throw the ball to. And the only way this game, I think, is close is if the Ravens are able to create some turnovers, get a pick six, get something on special teams, which John Harbaugh is a special teams coordinator, so he might have some things up his sleeve to kind of steal a possession, flip the field, something like that. I think that's something the Bengals have to be ready for. But yeah, I don't think this game is going to be much of a game.
I'm interested to see how T. Higgins bounces back, because last week I didn't watch the game, but he had 1 catch on 7 targets. So, how much was the DeMar Hamlin situation impacting him? I have no idea whether that was it, whether it's just good coverage by Ravens. I have no idea. That's just, for his standard, that's a lot. It's not very many catches for how many targets he has. But I'm with you. I think the Bengals win pretty handily anyway. But Ravens without Lamar Jackson are basically the Browns.
Well, and then if you're the Bengals, you know that they're starting an undrafted guy.
Blitz the shit out of him.
Yeah, just 8 guys in the box, and when they do after pressure, bring 6 people, make them get the ball up quick, make them know where the hot routes are. It's just make it an ugly game, which I think the Bengals are going to try to do because they're also probably thinking this. All right, let's try to get a nice lead, get our starters out of here, and so that we can get ready to go to Buffalo. This next week and play in our first legit playoff game with that because, like Ethan said, it just shows how important Lamar Jackson is to this Ravens team. Without him, they're a 5-6 win team here, and it sounds like he's doing everything he can right now, but he can't practice. He can't run on that knee, which really sucks for them because that's now 2 years in a row where they were flying high and they had a chance to win the division, and then unfortunately Lamar gets hurt. And the season just kind of derails from there.
And he's got a contract extension they have to work out. So who knows? We might have seen the last of Lamar Jackson in a Ravens uniform.
Something tells me though the fact that they just signed Roquan, they know how important he is to this team. If they have to, they'll slap that franchise tag on him.
Yeah.
Now that they signed Roquan the other day, they have that at their disposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how that one plays out, and then let's go to the final game of Wild Card Weekend on Monday night. My birthday, January 16th. Cowboys play the Bucks on ABC ESPN/ESPN. Cowboys somehow are 2.5-point favorites, and the Bucks are not a good team. They have not played well all year, but they still have that Tom Brady guy. That's jersey is behind me. And Dak's had his head up his ass, and he can't turn the ball over, which he's done 15 times this year. And part of it is I think they need to use his legs. It's playoff football. There's no, take the restrictions off him, let him go. When he's using his legs, I think he is at his best. It sounds like Tyler Biadasz and Leighton Vander Esch are going to be back, which are nice additions, especially because the defense hasn't felt like they've been the same since Leighton's been out. Big thing is getting pressure on Brady too. Is get it from the inside because that's where he's dangerous when he's stepping up in the pocket. And if you're getting inside pressure, he doesn't have anywhere to go or to step up, and he's not going to be able to extend plays in that way. And then the other part is unlike last year, actually look prepared. Don't come out sloppy, sluggish, and look like you have never played football in your life.
Or you just ate Thanksgiving dinner right before the game and you can't move.
And then the other part is get playmakers involved because CeeDee Lamb can't have another game like he had last year against the 49ers where he had one catch.
Well, he played last year?
Apparently, he was on the active roster, but I think somebody forgot to tell him that he was playing.
Okay. But yeah, no, Dylan, I'm with you. I think that this game it's going to come down to when Dallas's defense and when Dallas is good this year, they're wreaking havoc on the other team's quarterback. And when that pass rush takes a week off and decides not to show up, they are an extremely mediocre team. And they're not going to win this game. And for mediocre. And then, hey, how fitting I'm talking about the Dallas pass rush as I have my Tristan Wirfs jersey on right now. Getting him back.
Hey, congrats to him, though. He just got a nice contract extension. Didn't he?
Nothing.
Pretty sure he did.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
He's only his second year?
Third year.
Yeah,
they're going to pick up that 5th-year option after this year. It's going to be a pretty easy one.
Oh, I thought I saw something that said that he was.
Or who knows? They might be talking extension this offseason, but when it comes to picking up that first-round 5th-year option this March, that's going to be pretty quick. Yes. Down there in the Bay, the 813 area code. But, and then, if I'm Dallas, I'm letting Micah Parsons choose where he wants to rush. Don't have him line up at just strictly left end. Don't have him line up at strictly right end. Let him do a J.J. Watt and go down and face everyone once before, in the first two series of this game. And then let him say, you know what? Their weak link is the left guard. I'm going to rush on the inside. Or you know what? Donovan Smith's having a bad year because Donovan Smith is awful. I'm going to rush left tackle and get on Brady's blind side. And then, for the Dallas offense, again, like I've said 1,000 times before, I'll say it again. Less Dak equals more. This Tampa rush defense came into the year with a reputation of being the best in the league. Well, that's just because people were afraid to run against them. And now you've seen this year, people are able to run on Tampa, get Zeke going, get Tony Pollard going. Wait for it, Dylan. Run the offense you ran with Cooper Rush, with Dak. Who cares if he's a $2 million quarterback? Just run the ball, be smart with it, get your quarterback on the move, nice, easy throws. Just because you paid him a lot of money doesn't mean you need to have him get out of his comfort zone. Because Dak's best year was when he was a rookie. And look at that. They had Zeke running the ball, and they won 13 games. So get after Tom, slow the game down on offense, and don't have any turnovers. Because you got to think, if Dallas plays a turnover-free game, I really like their chances to win this game. Because Tampa's offense doesn't have much chemistry or cohesion going, where if you make them go 75 yards consistently, they're just not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tampa Bay's looked in games, they've looked good for 10 minutes of games where the first drive where they look good and then they get into the red zone and then they stall, kick a field goal, and then they don't do anything the rest of the game until 8 minutes left and it's we better start playing now. Yeah. And then they go. Don't let it get to that. Get out in front, play with a lead, and when you have a chance, land the knockout punch and end Tampa Bay's season. Put them out of their misery.
And take Leonard Fournette in this running game off the field. Make Tom throw it 50 times.
Yep.
Really what this game comes down to is how many pick sixes Dak Prescott throws.
He's good at that.
He's good at it.
He is. Very good.
Or not. I don't really know if I'm being serious or not. I think I'm leaning more towards serious. But the Tampa secondary has been playing a hell of a lot better than they were earlier this year. And then you have Chris Godwin / Mike Evans going against the best and worst corner in the league, Trayvon Diggs, depending on how you perceive it.
Depending on the snap.
Yeah.
And that's all they have there, too. So hopefully it is the best Trayvon Diggs because after him, they miss Anthony Brown, they miss Jordan Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin Joseph couldn't cover anything and
couldn't cover water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom Brady goes vintage Tom Brady this weekend and just lights the living shit out of Dallas. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but he has two good wide receivers that can make your day really bad, Dylan.
Oh, I'm well aware.
I figured.
Even in the regular season. Tampa was moving the ball. They just kicked 1,000 field goals.
Yeah.
In that game. I mean, so, Tampa, they might be able to move the ball all the time in here, but if that's the case, again, you got to climb down in the red zone. But again, less Dak equals more. With this roster, you don't need to be Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow to win if you're Dallas. Put the ego to the side and let your running backs get going.
Yeah, and this is as good of a roster as you're going to get, too, with Dallas. Mm-hmm. And it's just find a way. If the Cowboys want to go on a run, like we said with Dak, less is more. But also, he's going to have to put together the best 4 games of his career. Is he able to do that? No. We're about to find out. No. And so I suppose with that, I guess, Grant, we'll kick it over to you because you have Curveball of the Week.
So before we get into that, should we just throw in something a little fun here? Pre-playoff, who we think the Super Bowl is going to be right now, before the games are played, so we can circle back in 4 weeks, just kind of see something a little fun here?
Sure. Yeah, so are we just saying, how about let's do our conference championship?
Nope, I don't even want that.
Okay, just our Super Bowl predictions.
Super Bowl prediction. As of right now, I'm just curious. Who does Ethan, who does Dylan, and myself, who do we think the Super Bowl matchup is going to be?
I'll go first.
All right.
Close.
I think you had Rams at the start of the year. You had Rams, and I can't remember who you had in the AFC.
Was it Bills? I think we all had
I think
the
it was
Bills.
the Bills.
I think we all had the
Okay.
Bills.
So I'm sticking with my AFC pick, the Bills. Yay, Stephon Diggs. And I'll say versus 49ers, Iowa State's Brock Purdy gets it done.
Okay.
Or defense gets it done.
Oh,
Brock Purdy just doesn't fucking.
does he send Trey Lance to the curb?
I mean, it's almost like a Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo
Oh,
type
but Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe. This is a fascinating
Except Trey
story.
Lance hasn't done shit, so I shouldn't say
And
that.
Drew Bledsoe was a $100 million quarterback.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So Grant, you can go.
I'm going to stick with my NFC preseason prediction. San Francisco 49ers.
Hey.
Oh.
With that. And I think there is revenge and or vindication, and we now can say we have a rivalry in the AFC. The Chiefs beat the Bengals, and we get a rematch of Super Bowl 54.
Nice.
Okay.
Chiefs Niners.
I think that's what you had at the start of the year too, didn't you?
Chiefs Bills.
Oh, you did it.
To start
I mean,
the year,
49ers Bills. 49ers Bills.
49ers Bills. Yeah, 49ers. To start the year, I said Pat Mahomes would be the MVP, but the Bills would get the best of them in the AFC. So
We're looking pretty good on that prediction of
we are.
MVP for the
But right now, I'm going to switch it up. Niners, Chiefs, rematch Super Bowl 54.
Okay. All right. So I had Bills Bucks in the Super Bowl.
Someone drank the Brady juice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What the? Somebody was eating some beans or something. Okay. I don't know what that was. You were you're Jim Tomsula in a press conference farting.
Yeah, I had red cow, sorry.
But I'm changing mine.
Wow.
I think it's going to be Chiefs. I think they're playing well. I think they're going to find a way. And I think Andy Reid has learned from the mistake of last year of they're going to commit to more of a run game. And that's going to lead them into the Super Bowl. And they will be playing. I think I'm going to have to go with the 49ers.
Yeah.
I think they're playing way too well. I think they're going to be able to play most games on their terms. And I think we have a rematch, like Grant said, 49ers, Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
All right, so it'll be a fun 3 weeks, that's for damn sure.
Yes, can't wait.
If it's going to be anything like last year, we're in for a treat here, boys. But yeah, so curveball of the week here. You know, earlier today we were texting in our group chat because Dylan, you said the Twins had a major announcement coming this afternoon, and I threw out the hypothetical that hey, are they going to play in the Field of Dreams game this year? So I went to Google, and unfortunately, they're not having a Field of Dreams game this season because they're doing construction on the ballparks down there. But that series will resume in 2024. So it's just a 1-year hiatus while they're doing some construction down there in Dyersville. But I got thinking of that classic movie, you know, Kevin Costner's famous line, you know, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. And there's been a bunch of great movie lines out there. What would you say, you guys, is like the best or most iconic movie line that sticks with you? You know, that you've seen? Because like I said, there's 1,000 great ones out there. What's one that really resonates?
I'm going to rub my nutsack all over your drum set.
This probably says a lot about me, but if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. And you know what? I have a 6-pound medicine ball. We're going to try it with Grant right now.
What am I doing? I caught it.
We're good.
I caught it. So one person off the bench for my team. Ethan goes out of bounds here.
Damn it.
Oh, man, I'm trying to think here.
I got a good one for you, Dylan. The clown has no penis.
That is a good one. Step Brothers. You could. There's a lot of good quotes from there.
No power tools.
Ain't no power tools out there now.
I'll drop that motherfucker.
It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
It's the fucking Catalina wine
Oh
mixer.
shit! I was chicken wine. I should have done that.
But no, Dylan, if you're thinking here, I'm going to go more on a serious note here. It's, from A Few Good Men, when Tom Cruise is talking to Jack Nicklaus, I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. And it makes you think where it's like, what the men and women in our service do for us to keep us safe. There's a lot of truths that I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of weird things going on behind the table where it's like, it's probably good if I don't know that. So for me, that just kind of hits home because it's one of those where there's a real life aspect to that too, with what's going on in the military, day in and day out, and some of those classified documents that they have, where he's sitting there on trial, screaming back, saying, "You can't handle the truth." It was just something iconic about that, and there's something you can bring in real life, day in and day out with that.
Yeah, that is a good one. Oh man, that's so tough to think because I can't.
What about the shitter's full?
Shitter was full. That is a good one. There's no crying in baseball.
No
League
crying.
of their own. That's a good one.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Yep. Hasta la vista, baby. Go back to the Terminator. Or I'll be back.
I'll be back.
Yep. Oh man. There are a lot of good ones. And it's tough to think. It's tough to because there's I think you almost have to like divide it up into genres.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's some good Will Ferrell ones. Nudie Magazine Day from Billy Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I can just pin it down to just
and,
one.
Jaws, just be iconic. We're going to need a bigger boat.
Yep.
Again, back to the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm having to look up like movie quotes because I can't think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem. Yeah.
You know what movie that's from?
Why do you ask dumb questions?
I don't think it's a dumb question. Another good one from Field of Dreams. If you build it, he will come.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Here's Johnny. That I've never
Here's
seen the
Johnny.
movie, but it's one of the most iconic quotes in movie history.
Oh, The Shining. That was a good movie.
Yep. This one. First rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
Don't talk about Fight Club. Yep.
But yeah, I think that's.
And even like if we're taking it like back into our, like our childhood. I know my favorite movie as a kid. I think this is one of Ethan's favorite too. A line from The Lion King here. It's run away, Simba, and never return. Like you're 6 and you hear that and you're like, that just gets deep, and you don't realize that until you're an adult.
So you're saying?
There's a chance.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Yeah, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. There's just so many good iconic lines out there from like when you hear it, you remember of course, you remember the movie, but you remember like maybe the first time where you saw it, or it's one of those where it's like, I always use this. If you think about how good that movie is, and it's a Sunday afternoon and there's nothing going on, you're going to sit down and guess what? You're going to watch this movie. You're going to stop everything you're doing and you're going to watch it.
Correct. Bond, James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't.
Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.
That's what Maryland does. Crab cakes and football.
That's a classic.
Oh, this is a good one. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Mm-hmm.
From The Godfather. But all right,
Jerry,
well,
Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello.
yeah, yep. Or we go back. We can go to Top Gun Maverick. You told me not to think.
You told me not to think. And I didn't think. What were you doing? You told me not to think.
What were you thinking? You told me not to think.
You told me not to think. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But all right, well, I think that's all we got for this week, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Go check us out on all of our social medias. We'll be posting the clips on YouTube on Friday. And thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.